All right, I'm going to start my portion with something just kind of a little fun. So I'm going to have you participate. Don't worry, you don't have to get up or anything. But if you could raise your hand if you know if you are an Aries or if your birthday falls between March 21st and April 19th. Do we have any Aries in the room? All right. So your card is the Emperor. You are active, demanding, determined, effective, and ambitious. Does that sound like you? And then next slide, please. Any Taurus? Anybody who's a Taurus in the room? That would be April 20th to May 20th. You raise your hand. Oh, I see one back there. Your card is the Hierophant. You are grounded, tough, appreciative, diligent, and patient. Nice. Do we have any Geminis in the room? That's May 21st to June 20th. All right, we got a couple. You are the Lovers. Communicative, indecisive, inquisitive, intelligent, and changeable. And then do we have any one who has the Cancer zodiac sign? That's June 21st to July 22nd. Yeah, a couple? All right. That is the Chariot card, emotional, diplomatic, intense, impulsive, and selective. Any Leos? So that would be July 23rd to August 22nd. All right. Strength. The Strength card. So we have ruling, warm, generous, loyal, and motivated. Any Virgos in the room? That's August 23rd to September 22nd. Okay. You're the Hermit. Analyzing, practical, reflective, observant, and thoughtful. Libras, any Libras, raise your hands. Oh, there's a lot of Libras, okay. September 23rd to October 22nd, you're Justice, balanced, fair, honors truth, beauty, and perfection. Scorpios, raise your hands. Yes, Scorpios unite, okay. October 23rd to November 21st, we are the Death card, which is transient, self-willed, purposeful, and unyielding. Which is, yeah, very accurate. Any Sagittarius in the room? November 22nd to December 21st. Okay. The Temperance card, philosophical, dynamic, experimental, and an optimist. Capricorn, December 22nd to January 19th. Do we have any? None. Oh, one. Okay. The Devil card, determined, dominant, persevering, practical, and willful. Any Aquarius in the room? January 20th to February 18th? All right, a couple. That's the Star, knowledgeable, humanitarian, serious, insightful, and duplicitous. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the last one, correct? All right. So thank you for entertaining that little fun bit of tarot and astrology. Oh, Pisces, I missed Pisces. Pisces, February, it would be like the 19th or 20th through March 20th. The moon, who's Pisces? Okay, we got a couple. The moon, fluctuating, deep, imaginative, reactive, and indecisive. I think, yeah. Okay, all right, there we go. That was the last one. Sorry, Pisces, I didn't mean to exclude you. Okay. All right, we live in a world that is constantly barraging us with information, facts, forecasts, headlines, hot takes, etc. We scroll and we search, convinced that if we find just the right data, the right answer, we'll finally feel grounded, finally feel like we have that right answer. But beneath all that noise, we carry quieter questions, ones that are just humming below the surface. What do I actually know? What do I feel? What do I sense? And what do I know without really knowing why? And that is the space I'm going to talk about today. That space between knowing and not knowing. I'm going to talk about intuition, that inner voice that doesn't speak in words, but in nudges, patterns, tension, and release. And I'm going to talk about divination, a shocker, I know. Not some fortune-telling parlor trick, but using divination as a mirror, a practice of self-inquiry, a conversation with the unseen part of yourself. And whether you read tarot, throw runes, cast charms, pray with your dreams, or simply sit in silence and wait for the truth to rise, this is for you. And you don't have to be certain or even have to believe. You just have to be willing. Sometimes the clearest answers come when we are brave enough to stop asking and start listening. I wish that I could remember when I got my first tarot deck, but I can't. I believe my first tarot deck was like that traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. I can't remember if I bought my own deck or if someone gifted me my first deck, but I can tell you that I have quite a collection now. It's about like 38 decks. I have a problem. I have decks made by my favorite writers and artists, and I have some decks that I've purchased and now have more favorite artists and writers due to getting their decks. Some of the decks I have are used a lot and are quite worn in spots and have chipping on the edges of the cards. And other decks I only bring out from time to time to actually sit and go card through card and stare in awe at the art on each card. But I don't necessarily want to ruin the cards. Some decks are purchased mass market via Amazon, and some are purchased from overseas from an artist who is doing a very limited run, and I may be one of the very few people who are able to get their hands on it. And while I can't remember the first deck that I got, I can remember the first deck that I saw out in the wild, which was my best friend Matt, my platonic life partner, had the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck when we were teenagers, when we were in high school, and he knew all of the card meanings and what all of the symbols meant, and I was just so impressed. And he read for himself and for family and friends, and I was just in awe from the very first reading that I had received. I was hooked. And it has been like that for a lot of other forms of divination for me as well, but tarot is the one that I consistently go back to. Over the years, I've read tarot cards, oracle cards, Lenormand cards. I have thrown charms and runes. I have read tea leaves and palms. I have let a pendulum sway, and I have used bibliomancy and geomancy. And I have scried, and I have studied my dreams. And I've studied the planets and the stars, and I create birth charts for people. But what I have learned over the years is it doesn't matter what form of divination you use, or which you are even drawn to. What matters is what you do with the message you receive. Anyone can pull a card, or see a shape in their tea leaves, or examine their dreams. But it's what you do with the message that matters. Do you listen? Do you examine yourself? Do you take it inwards? Do you reflect on it? Have you ever felt that tug in your chest, that tightening in your gut, or that strange sense of clarity in a moment that didn't really make any logical sense? That's your intuition trying to tell you something. It may not feel logical, but you find yourself listening nonetheless. Intuition is the way that those before us listened to the wind, read the stars, sensed danger in stillness, and guidance in dreams. It's not usually in the head if you think about it, but it can be felt in the body. It's not always very loud or demanding. It can be very subtle. But when you notice it, you realize it's been speaking to you the whole time. But I bet many of us at times have completely ignored those feelings. It isn't logical, it's a feeling. And a feeling requires trust, and trust requires risk. You feel like you have to move even when you aren't sure, to pause when everything says go, to say yes when logic dictates that you should say no. Intuition isn't the easiest guide to follow, but it can be the truest. People mistake intuition for being woo-woo or fluffy, but intuition is a form of intelligence if you think about it. It's how you pick up on nonverbal cues, shifts in energy, and emotional undercurrents faster than the conscious mind would process. It's that feeling when you walk into a room and immediately feel that something is off, that something is wrong, before you even see anyone or before anyone says a word. And I can attest that I have felt that, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room can say that they have as well. It's that feeling when you just know someone isn't telling the whole story. Or those times when you feel drawn to an idea or a place or a person, but you can't really explain why. You're just drawn to it. Trusting your intuition isn't about abandoning logic and reason. It's about balancing those things. Logic shows you the road. Intuition will tell you which one leads home. You need both. But don't let the loud voice of reason drown out the hum of knowing. Sometimes the truest compass points inward. If you can follow it, you will never be lost. Now I'm going to shift a little bit, and when I say the word divination, do you think of a smoke-filled room with someone telling you the winning lotto numbers? I mean, wouldn't that be nice? But that's not what I'm talking about today. The type of divination I'm talking about is not about predicting the future. It's about asking better questions and really listening to the answers. As I've said before, divination is a tool of self-inquiry. It's a tool for translating the language of intuition into something you can see, sit with, and understand. The cards, runes, pendulum, bones, or whatever you use are a mirror. It can allow your subconscious, your intuition, and maybe something larger like spirit, the universe, the divine, to all sit down together and speak to you. The symbols don't hold the answers on their own, you do. The card you draw doesn't say what's going to happen or on any given day. It reflects where you are, maybe what you are resisting or what's asking for your attention. It's about awareness. For example, let's say you pull what I consider is probably the scariest card in the tarot to pull in the Major Arcana, which is the tarot card, or the Tower card. I hold my breath every time I put that card down. It represents destruction, upheaval, and collapse. And I try to put it back in the deck and shuffle again and pull out a different card, and the Tower card comes out again. But if you pull that card, maybe you have already been sensing something like that. You may have already been feeling something shaking loose, and the card is just making you more aware of it. It's not necessarily predicting the future by any means. And when you pull that card, maybe it makes you more aware of it and you can admit it to yourself. And that is what divination does. It can be terrifying, healing, and liberating. Sitting down in front of my cards is the one place, or one of the places, where I can ask a question of myself, the universe, or of the gods without needing to perform or explain or justify. I can just show up as I am with my hair a mess and my dirty smudged glasses and say, I don't know what I need to know. And the cards, the symbols will meet me there. You don't need to be psychic or special or even a pagan or a witch to do divination. You just need to be open and willing. Ask what you need to ask and sit with what comes up. And take what resonates and leave the rest. And sometimes divination is going to tell you what you don't want to know. Sometimes a tarot card just keeps coming up, no matter how many times you shuffle the deck and pull a card. We lovingly call that a stalker card in the biz, if a card that you pull just keeps coming up. Sometimes it confirms the uncomfortable truth that you already know. And that's part of it. It can show you where you need to put in the work. But it can also affirm, encourage, and reveal. You can pull a card that affirms that you are on the right path, not because the card is telling you that it is that way, but because something inside of you relaxes in recognition. You already knew. The card just helped you trust what you were already feeling. Divination isn't about reaching outward. It's about turning in. So be curious and turn inward. This is about creating a space to see yourself more clearly and to ask, listen, reflect, and begin again. So what do you do with all this? You pull a card, you cast a rune, you see where the charms fall, but then what? What do you do afterward? Insight without reflection is just noise. It's just more noise. Reflection is your chance to take a pause. Let your mind catch up to your soul. After the card is pulled and you receive the message, you sit, you breathe, you let it move through you and ask, what is this really showing me? Where in my body do I feel it? Do I feel resistance? Do I feel recognition? Don't rush to understand the message. It's not a puzzle to be solved. And even some truths aren't meant to be solved, but to unfold. Journaling can be a very powerful tool, and it is the tool that I recommend and that I use for learning tarot and doing reflection. You can write what came up for you, and not just the card or meaning, but that's also helpful, but your reaction to the card, how you felt when you saw the card. So for example, if I pull the tarot or the tower and I immediately, I want to write down that feeling. Where did I feel it in my body? How did it make me feel? Because that's part of the mirror and the reflection. The reflection is where the message can expand. And then you can ask even further questions. What shifts now because of what I have seen and felt? What do I understand differently now about myself and maybe the world around me? What do I need to let go of, or welcome, or become now? It doesn't always have to be dramatic. It can be subtle, a choice to rest when you feel like you would normally push yourself, a door closing quietly but firmly. It may feel uncomfortable, but that is because reflection can show us things that we don't want to admit to ourselves. And sometimes change comes from that. And I've heard that most people famously do not like change. But by using intuition, divination, and reflection, you will start to not only listen to your head, but also to your heart and living with intention. And that's where the magic can start happening. And you become the oracle. You are the magic. So I've talked about intuition, the quiet knowing that tugs at you, and I've talked about divination, using it as a tool to mirror what you know deep down. And I've talked about reflection, the process of turning the symbols you see into wisdom, and then using that wisdom in your life. I want to reiterate that you don't need to be gifted or psychic or have the right deck or the perfect daily reflection routine, or to howl at the moon, although that can be fun, so I've heard from a friend. You just need to listen to your gut, make space, and ask the question, and don't run away from the answer. Your intuition has already been trying to guide you, and using divination is not about parlor tricks. It's a chance to look inward. I invite you to sit in stillness, pull a card, breathe deep, and open your heart. Because the answers aren't out there. They're inside of you, and they're waiting. Thank you.